I did realistic ballerinas, and I'll have people come in and say, I loved when you did ballerinas. And my husband always says, you need to do landscapes. They sell, I'm like, yeah, he's a lot. He's a ball of fun. So yeah. Um,
Well, that's the numbers
yeah.
guy coming
Yeah.
out in him.
Exactly. I was just thinking about the spreadsheet. He'd be a great studio
Oh,
manager.
yeah, and he will do that. He's like, okay, you did that last year. Did you make any money on it? It's like, oh, well, that's not always about the money, but
Hello, everybody. So we're here today with Carol MacConnell. She is a contemporary abstract artist, although she's, I think she has some portraiture in her collection. And she's a longtime artist of about 28 years, and she has a studio that has open studio days, etc. Welcome, Carol.
thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you two because you're kind of like my soul sisters. So it's so
Aw.
exciting to
Yeah.
actually spend
Yeah.
time in your presence. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've got going on?
Well, I've been a full-time painter for about 20 years. I started job sharing when I was still in business. I was always in sales and marketing, and I job shared with another person in television sales, commercials, and then I went to a studio 2 days a week, and I did that for 2 years before I quit and totally went full time as an artist, and I've been painting ever since. I started out as a realist, so it's kind of funny that I'm contemporary and abstract now, but I love to learn. I'm always taking classes. I take little tidbits from all different, classes that I take and mold it into what I already do, and it's great life. I'm in a building with 200 artists, and it's got like 12-foot ceilings and wooden floors. I mean, it's just perfect for artists. And we're open once a month, like you said, from 5 till 9, and we'll get 800 people through. So it's just a great venue. It's a hidden gem in Cincinnati. Really, we should get more people than that. We've been here 34 years, I think, and there's still people that don't know we're here. So, but I paint 6 days a week. Every day. I do marketing at night. I would paint 7, but my husband actually likes me to stay home one day. So I'm always, if I'm not painting, I'm thinking about painting. And Monday's my favorite day because I can't wait to get in my studio and paint. So I'm a painter.
Yeah. Yeah, that
So
sounds like a good
do
fit.
yeah, do the other artists, they're in there all the time as well?
We have 200, and some of them use it as show space. They only come in for what we call Final Fridays. And I would say 40 to 50 out of 200 are full time in here all the time. On my floor, there's 8 floors in this building. So my floor is one of the busier floors as far as full time professional artists. And I'd say out of the 10 to 12 artists on this floor, there's that more than 8 probably are here some part of the week to work. So some people just use it as gallery space. I actually use it as a studio to create art, and then I got to clean it all up for Final Friday. So because I'm messy, I'm very messy.
Yeah. Where is this located in Cincinnati? I'm interested.
It's called Over the Rhine, or the Pendleton Art District. It's on the edge of downtown. For those that are in Cincinnati, it's right across the street from the road for it is right across the street from our casino that we've only had a few years. I say a few years now; it's probably been 10, but because time flies by. But it's a unique building. Well, actually, there's 4 buildings, but this is the main building where, if you're going to come and walk down 8 floors, we have an elevator, we take people to the top and they walk down. I'm on the 7th floor. And I kind of equate it to if you go to Disneyland all day long and you're driving home and you see a church festival, are you going to pull over and ride a couple more rides? No. So the other buildings don't get the traffic that the main building gets. So we never have an empty studio in here. We have a waiting list to get in. But the other buildings that don't get as much traffic, a lot of people start out there and then move into here. But I just love it.
So you say once a month you have like big events where people walk through. What about the Friday thing?
That's it. It's called Final Friday. It's once a month from 5 till 9. And in the summer, we have a food truck and there's music outside and you're greeted at the door and there's an elevator operator because it doesn't operate by itself. This building's really old. But it's a fun event. It's worth a field trip. So
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
yeah, come see me. That'd be great.
Oh, I would love that. Absolutely love that. Yeah, so I'm curious, Carol, I mean, we talked about this one time before, but you're doing a couple of different lines of paintings.
I do.
And so how do you display them, or do you rotate them, or how does that work?
People walk in my studio and they think there's 4 artists in here because I am always learning and changing. I kind of think of myself as an abstract painter who also does fluid acrylics, but like that, not I think, Dawn, you did some with the cells and all that. This is a totally different process, but so I do those. I do regular abstracts. I love contemporary figurative and I'm still trying to figure it out, but I do that as well. And once a year I probably do 3 to 6 florals. So I'll do and that's it. That I don't know what's confusing about that. No, it is confusing.
No, I don't either.
When people walk in, they're like, wow, is this all you? And yeah, it is because, I've got all these things I want to learn and do. And so I just continue to change and grow. And so I love that. My girlfriend.
I love the colors.
Sorry?
The colors. I love the colors.
Thank you. And that's, if you go to my website, it's probably just as confusing, but you can see the different styles. So my girlfriend says I'm always reinventing myself. So, and she's right. I pretty much am.
And it keeps things fun. But
I love that.
I'm curious. I'm very curious if the different styles are associated with different moods or different seasons.
No, I kind of get ideas, and I usually work on 2 to 3 paintings at once. So if one stalls, I can just switch to the other. And right now I'm doing abstracts on watercolor paper, but I also have a figurative. And sometimes it takes me a little bit to solve it in my head. I think I know where the painting's going and it won't go there. So I just figured out I have this. It's actually a ballerina painting, but it's a contemporary one. And you can see through one large ballerina and you see other ballerinas through her. And I wasn't sure how I wanted to handle the small ballerinas, and I just figured it out. So I can't wait to work on that. Might be today. So, but it's kind of like that. I get ideas. Like my fluid acrylics, I haven't done any in a while. And it's a whole setup. Like mine are done on unstretched canvas, and they're put on, they're stapled or push pin to different height supports, and I figure out how I want the paint to run, and then I have a catch basin. All the paint runs off into the catch basin, and then I wait for it to dry. I take it off, I move it around, I pin it back up, I prop it from underneath. I do whatever I can to figure out how the paint will flow. And so that's one setup. I have a large studio, but I have been in this building for 20 years and I've had 6 studios. I've had one that is so tiny, it's unbelievable. I started out there and I have moved 6 times. And so now, after all these years, I have one of the large studios that's left. So it's 1,300 square feet. So I have half of it set up as a gallery, 1/4 as my fluid acrylic pouring area, and the other fourth was supposed to be for paintings on canvas and everything, but I've kind of moved into my gallery. I like being around all my other art, so I also set up a station in here, but I think I got off track there, sorry.
No,
it's wonderful.
I think it's really interesting how many artists that we've talked to have done fluid art. And, I started with fluid art, I got away from fluid art, and now I find myself migrating back to it for elements within my paintings because there's just something magical about fluid art.
There is. And I've got this idea in my head. I've never done this before, but I keep thinking if I took oil sticks and drew on the canvas, that would all resist the acrylic.
Yes.
So there might be some really cool things that could happen when I pour paint over. I just haven't done it yet. I have so many ideas. When people say, what do you do for inspiration? I'm like, that's never a problem. It's time. It's getting all my ideas down on canvas, on paper, and whatever. But I just have so many ideas. I can't wait, and
That's a good problem
it
to have.
is. It is.
That's a really good problem to have. You like to
problem,
experiment.
I do.
Yeah.
I have that problem too. And then I hear people say, well, you have to have a really cohesive identity with your art. And I like to do too many things, I guess.
I kind of think my abstracts, you can tell they're all mine. My fluid acrylic, you can tell they're all mine. Now, do my abstracts look like my fluid acrylics? No, they don't. But, so I feel like I have 4 segments, although really what I love is contemporary abstract, and I'm still figuring it out. It has really, I've taken courses, I've done all this, and I still can't come up with a way to do it every time. And I think it's all my years of being a realist. I get too much realism in there, and that's not what I want. I want abstraction of the figure, and I want crazy colors that work. I want, so I've got an idea. I always have, that thing that wakes you at night and it's like, oh, I could do that. So I'm going to do that on this painting. Also, I love to work large. I just love large. The one painting is 48 by 60. That's the ballerina painting. And not every house has room for those kind of things. So, I kind of limit my market because of that. But I have works on paper. I have all sizes, but my heart loves big, 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 big. I love it. So,
yeah, there's a lot of freedom in
yeah.
big. Wow.
I need more freedom in my work. I'm too, I need it to be freer. I try, but, it takes years to change habits like that. I'm working it.
Yeah, I love that. So with the figurative, because I am drawn to that too, I catch myself, the abstract figurative.
Yeah.
I love that. Like I saw a painting today where they had the different shapes and you could tell they were figurative, but they were very abstracted. And then they kind of whited out around them. You could still see the paint behind it, but there was like the white wash.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love that. I haven't done it yet, but I do feel a little bit of a calling toward something like
There's
that.
a great book that I wish I had it handy. It's called, I think, Disrupted Realism. and it's a bunch of great
Oh.
artists. Have you guys seen? I don't know if you've seen it, but
I think I have it.
oh, do you? Well, one of the people I love a lot of people in there, but one artist in there I've studied with, and it's but they all disrupt the figure. Oh, why? I just love. I own a lot of her work, and I can't think of her name. Isn't that awful? It's the old brain. I've got too much stored in there. Stuck.
Yeah. That's my
Stanka
story,
Cordy.
Carol.
That's her name. It's not an easy one. Stanka Cordy.
What is it?
She does beautiful disrupted figures that I love. I love Dan McCall, who started out painting beach scenes of kids and things, and now his his figurative work is the color. He's a colorist, really, but they're just gorgeous. I just love that. So, yeah, I want my own style, but I love what people are doing out there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me, I don't know if you're familiar with Christian Hook.
No, I'll have to write that down because I won't remember with this old brain.
Yeah, I think he does. I don't know if he's in the book, but he definitely does a disrupted realism. And he was a contestant on the Portrait Artist of the Year, which is out of the UK. And the year that he won that, it was just really fun to watch him paint. So,
wow,
if
that
you
is
haven't
cool.
seen Portrait Artist of the Year, I definitely recommend it. But I don't remember which season he was in, and it's available on YouTube.
Oh, I was going to say, where do you find that?
find
What's
it.
that called? Portrait Painter of the Year?
Portrait Artist of the Year, and it's from the UK.
Yeah.
And it's one of their TV channels is something Sky. I can't remember.
Okay, I'm going to look for
And
that.
so it's all there.
Yeah, I stream a lot of stuff in my studio because I just can't listen to music. I need something that fills my head while I create, and music doesn't do that. It's not enough, So I'm always looking for things to stream. So that's a good one.
That's
Okay.
awesome. Do you listen to podcasts
I do.
while you
I
paint?
listen to a ton of them. I do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I listened to yours.
that's a
I
first.
listened today to
Yeah.
yours.
Cammy.
Which one?
Cammy was on
yeah,
today.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've listened to a lot of yours, but they're great. I recommend it highly. Podcasts. There's so many good
thank
art
you.
ones, and you guys are rising right
Yeah.
up in that group, which is just great.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've never thought to
So
listen
nice.
to podcasts while I'm painting, only because your mind must be a little more sharp than you give yourself credit for, because I would get absorbed into the podcast and then drawn away from the painting.
Well, because there aren't pictures, I have trouble when I stream a show, because I want to watch, but I
Yeah.
listen to podcasts in the car all the time. So if I'm in the middle of one and I'm walking up to my studio, as long as I don't have to talk to anybody, I get in here and continue listening. But podcasts, I love. Don't you listen to them in the car? Doesn't everybody?
Yes,
yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely in the car. And then I also will often listen to one while I'm showering and getting ready for my day. I just feel like that's a good way to start the day.
That is a wonderful way.
Um,
If I could convince my husband, he needs to hear a little bit more about art. We're yin and yang. He definitely doesn't want to hear art stories in the morning. So
my husband's okay, but my daughter's complaining about it. And it's funny because I just started doing some scientific research on art pigments.
oh yeah.
And I was telling my daughter, oh yeah, I'm doing this research and I'm using these pigments. Isn't that cool? She's like, oh, so you're doing art at work now. I was like, well, it's not really doing art. It's, studying pigments. And she's like, but you're using art materials, so it's art.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, funny.
There's deep down, she's very proud of you for all you do. But just like my husband, I've got an event next Friday and it's during the evening and he'd rather do something else. And, I know he loves that I do art, but they get tired of how much we love it. I think, how much it consumes us. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's fair. I mean, what are some of his hobbies? Maybe you might feel the same way. I don't know.
We're yin and yang. I've got the creative mind. He's very math oriented. He reads a spreadsheet like it's a novel. I look at it and I'm like, the numbers just swim around. I can't spreadsheets. No. But so we have a great marriage. We have a great life. We're very happy together, but we are so different when it comes to that. He has a great appreciation now for the whole thing, but it's definitely come over time.
That's kind of funny because sometimes my husband says, "You gonna go paint?
Oh,
Maybe you need to paint a little bit."
that's funny. Mine,
Yeah.
over the weekend, the holiday weekend, I'm like, I'm just going to go in for a few hours. It's the holiday, but, a couple hours in the morning. So he likes to work in the yard. I hate to work in the yard. I thought I would love it before I had a house. It's never done. Working in the yard, there's always something to do. Weed to pull,
Yeah.
It's
How close is your studio to your home?
about 10 minutes.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah.
Oh, I am so jealous.
Oh, it's so nice. Yeah, I go home for
Yeah.
lunch. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
That's great.
So,
That is so cool. I mean, my studio's in my house, so, but yeah, it's not somewhere I could really say like, oh, open studio day at my house.
yeah.
Because I'm in the basement, so the ceiling's low, the lighting's not that great.
Yeah.
There's the whole thing of like inviting strangers into your house, which, I could do that,
Yeah,
but
I don't recommend that. No. But these days you can just show them online. So, that's the great part.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well,
tell
I
us
have-
about the Creative Lifebook.
Oh,
Tell
I
us
happen
about
to
your
have one
chapter
right
in that.
here. As a matter of
Yay.
fact. And I have these postcards that I had made, and I put them in at my page. And I had, since we're open once a month, I sell them in my studio. I actually lose money on them because they're, what are they, $9.99? I charge $10, but then there's tax and everything. It's like, so it's
Right.
funny.
Mark them up.
No,
mark
I'm
them
just
up.
happy that people
At
buy
least
them.
15.
Yeah.
So mine is on seeing like an artist, and I just remember years ago when it really clicked over, and I went from seeing like a normal person to seeing like an artist, and it's never, you can't turn that off. I'll look at things and I think, how would I paint that? Or I look at the space in between things, and and to learn how to draw and paint without naming things, without saying, okay, here's the barn and here's the tree, and where you're just dealing with shapes and value and color. It really is a thing that it happens when you switch over, and all of a sudden you can see like an artist. It's just an amazing thing. So I wrote my little chapter on that. So
I love that. Yeah, I suppose I see like an artist. I don't so much try to
look at this little sweet girl. Hi, Pumpkin.
draw it out on a paper, but like the colors and the shapes and just how flowers are, the petals.
It's funny. I have a book laying over on a stool over here, and there's probably a picture of the artist on the back, but from where I'm sitting, it looks like an abstract painting, and that would be a beautiful, that was beautiful, your granddaughter, that would be a cool thing to make into an abstract painting, what I'm seeing from here, which looks abstract, but that's all part of seeing like an artist, so.
Yeah, that's cool. So one question that comes to my mind with that is, about developing the senses and like seeing all the different shades of color and really have an appreciation color, or kind of what you mentioned or described sounded more like process, like really thinking about what is the shape of a nose or something
Right.
like that, and how do you actually render that with physical paint.
Well, I have a degree in art, but I took 20 years off, I'd say, to work in business because I needed to work in business. And when I didn't get married till I was 40, so that opened up the opportunity for me to explore more art. But the first drawing class I took, she was a great lady, and she had a certain way of doing it. You had to start with drawing, and then you got to add color, and then you could use wet medium and everything. But when she taught you to draw, one of the first things you drew was just your hand. You laid your hand there, and she made you look at the space in between the fingers. And so you weren't drawing the pinky, the ring finger, and all of that. You were drawing the spaces in between. And so everything that started out for me was realism. And I think that's really what turned my mind and my seeing, because you have to really look at something to draw it realistically. You can't just, to get the perspective and everything, you need to really look at the space in between things. And it just really was like a light bulb moment when I could see what she was talking about and apply it to just everything. So yeah, but it is more for realism, for artists that are intuitive painters or abstract artists. A lot of abstract artists have classical training behind them, like Picasso. He had a lot of classical training. His early work looked like student work, and then he developed and kept changing and, created his own genre. So, but there's a lot of realism that can be added into the principles of realism, added into abstraction. So I'm glad I started there. I got very bored. For many years, I was a landscape painter, and I haven't painted a landscape. I can't remember when. But it's not that I get bored. I just feel like I've got more in me to get out on canvas, and I can't stay at that one spot making the same painting, and for years I did ballerinas. I still do some, but I did realistic ballerinas, and I'll have people come in and say, I loved when you did ballerinas. And my husband always says, you need to do landscapes. They sell, I'm like, yeah, he's a ball of fun. So, yeah.
Well, that's the numbers
Yeah.
guy coming out.
Exactly. I was just thinking about the spreadsheet. He'd be a great studio
Oh,
manager.
and he will do that. He's like, okay, you did that last year. Did you make any money on it? It's like, that's not always about the money, but right. So,
right.
and sometimes I have to sit down and explain that to him. But no, he's a sweetheart. He's just different brain than me. So
Yeah, I think
Carol,
it's really interesting that a lot of realism artists gravitate toward abstract. And when I first started learning about abstract, you think, oh, anybody
yeah,
can do that.
no,
It is so challenging.
it's so hard.
It's so challenging to get it to have the feel and the movement and the color and the rhythm and everything that you want in it. That's why I love it so much, because it's such a
And
challenge.
I have to explain that a lot to people who come in my studio, because the world loves 90% of the world loves realism. They want a tree to be a tree, and they'll say, well, what was the thinking behind this? And sometimes it's not the thinking, it's the colors, it's the differences in shapes. It's, there's just tons of things that go into abstracts that people don't realize. And I'm always trying to educate them, on this is what, you should get a feeling when you look at an abstract. It's not just your 5-year-old can do this. It's not, there's a lot more to abstracts, and good abstracts are just fabulous. They're amazing, and they're not easy to do. There's a reason, well, Mona Lisa isn't an abstract, but there's a reason that they call a masterpiece, and that's because you might only have one in you in a lifetime. So, when you think of paintings like the Mona Lisa or anything that was, a masterpiece, you name one other painting by that artist. That's their masterpiece, and that's what I want to do. I want my masterpiece. I've done some good paintings, some great paintings, but I haven't done what I would consider a masterpiece. So that's kind of my dream.
Yeah, it's funny how, the better we get, the higher the bar.
Right.
And, to listen to you with 28 years of experience. But I really I was thinking a similar question that Don asked, but because I like to do realism, but I also like to do abstraction. And, my goal is to combine them at some point. But you said something really interesting about how the realism really feeds the abstraction. And I guess I was kind of looking for a little bit of a left brain answer on that.
Well, for a long time, I worked with notans. I don't know if you know that word. It's a Japanese word. There's probably a much better definition that I'm going to give you. But a notan is it's either black or it's white. And so if you take a photograph, and I painted for years just from photographs, and you put it in an app and take out all the color, and if it's more than 50%, it goes black. If it's less than 50%, it goes white, and you end up with these graphic looking things. But you can paint from that, like from realism, and really it's a very abstract looking image. I wish I'd known. I would have had some to show you, but it's a very abstract looking image, and you can mix colors, and you can say, okay, when I look at the original photo and the notan, this one is going to be 50% dark. So I can mix that color, whatever I want, as long as it's in the percentage of dark, it's going to work there. Now, sometimes I do 3 color notans, so that you have a bit more information. So you have black, white, and gray. And so let's say if it's 30% of each, and you don't want to do a painting that's 30 30 30. You want a big dark, and a small light. You want to mix it up. There's something about the balance is off if it's too much the same. It makes it boring if it's 30% of each. You want something big that captures you, or a small little dot down here that brings your eye down, but notans, I think, are a stepping stone to abstraction. So, and there's a lot of artists that works from notans. One is Patrick Lee. He's all over Facebook and Instagram. But I studied with him, and I love this. And he starts with a notan. He paints a lot of notans first, and you can paint your own, or you can do them in an app, whatever. I think the app is called Notanizer. There used to be a great one, but the guy didn't have the money to keep up, as Apple kept changing, everything over the years. So he had the best app for that people would use in plein air painting and all of that. Because if you can make it that simple, then you can create all kinds of beauty from that. So
you're going to have to get one of those, and we'll put it in the podcast to show.
Yes,
everyone.
I'll send you one. I have a bunch. I can show you the before, and I used to paint all my own, so I have sheets of them, and but I'll send that. So you put it in the notes.
Fascinated with this. Yes.
Yeah, I'm learning something new. I mean, I've heard about the idea of color having like changing it to the black and white like value
Right.
scale. You know, like the darkest yellow is probably still, you know, like pretty much white, but you know, I haven't really heard specifically about this notans
Yeah, it's
thing.
a great concept. I mean, it's a great tool to use in art to paint from. It really simplifies a lot of things because if it's on in the dark area, you can't paint it, and then color. The hard thing is color and value because color has value, but value is
Mm-hmm.
really light to dark, white to black. And then you have, I mean, any color can be any value. It's really, there's a lot to this art thing, it's not simple.
Mhm.
And I guess that's why I
Yeah.
just keep learning from people because it's just so much to know,
Yeah.
there really is.
So before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about the business side of things. And I was asking you about your passion, and I think we've kind of touched on your
Well,
passion.
what was
You
it?
know,
I
you
missed it.
you well, you're an experimentalist and you're a collector of
I
information.
am.
And with your years of experience, I think that would be very perfect for, you know, being an artist mentor or a coach to other
Oh,
artists.
thank you. I do love it, and I have shoved a lot of art knowledge into my brain, and I still am doing that. I sign up for courses. I think it's important to keep learning, and I'm just not one of those artists that can do the same style year after year after year. And I know that's what galleries want. I've worked with a ton of galleries, and the model real. I shouldn't get into this, but the model could shift. There's just no reason why galleries should take 50%. I mean, they bring you a client, and that's good, but they're also supposed to market you and put them on the website. Oh, I'm going down a rabbit hole. I shouldn't do this. But as far as business goes, I probably sell more on my own than through my galleries.
Mm.
You get a gallery, you're all excited, you ship them 5 paintings, 3 paintings, whatever, it's at your cost. And crickets, you hear nothing. And if it's out of town, you can't even tell. I have one gallery in Naples, Florida that has a huge warehouse full of art, and you don't even know if your art's up on their walls. And what they try to do is put one piece
Mm.
up, and then they say, "Oh, if you like her work, let me bring out more." But they
Mm.
art galleries get all of their product that they sell for free. We give it to them, and we don't get paid until they sell it, and if it's through a designer or whatever, until they get paid. So it could be a year, it could be years, and so that's a long time. And
Mhm.
I just can't wait for galleries to sell my work. I sell it much more. I get contacted from people on Instagram. I work with interior designers. I'm great at following up. I do have to pat myself on the back for that. If somebody is in my studio and they show interest, I get their email and I contact them. If I can get a snap of the wall where they want to put it, I can drop my paintings right in there on apps and show them without them having to come in or me having to go to their house. And I always follow up, and a lot of times that leads to a sale. They say that in sales, it takes 5 times when you contact somebody, it takes 5 times before you might get a yes. And most people stop after 2. So, to keep
Mm.
going and to let a week go by and say, just checking in, would you like, whatever.
Mhm.
Or, this year, I hope they don't listen. I hope they listen to your podcast, but I hope they tune out during this part. I ran a Mother's Day special, 20% off, because I was working with a client and I couldn't get her closed. And so I didn't want to just say, okay, I've tried everything else. Here's 20%. So I ran a Mother's Day special and said, I don't know if you've seen this, but this weekend, everything's 20% off, and sold it. So, you just never know. You got to be kind of creative with the
Mhm.
whole thing, but you've got to
Yeah.
have a business mind as well as an artist mind. And I spend time at night updating my website and, following up with people, and it takes a lot of
Mhm.
time.
Do you sell a lot off of your website or from social media, would you say?
I think people go to my website to validate, or to a picture book to look. Most people, if they want to buy something, they contact me and they don't buy it through the website. I've had a few sales that way, but mostly they
Mhm.
contact me and we start working together that way. Some is through
Mhm.
Instagram. I need to, excuse me, do more with Facebook. But I know you're really good at Facebook, Don, aren't you? You're just like a machine on there. And I've already learned from you about different things to do on Facebook. And, I kind of
Mhm.
let Facebook go to the side, because my feed is all, this is, here's my daughter's graduation and here's my dinner from last night. And I'm thinking, who wants to look at paintings when, so
Yeah.
I really need to step that up. But social media is a big part of it. And I have a lot of followers on Instagram. I have over 10 grand, but I have to tell you, it hasn't gone up. I've been stagnant. And
I
Mm.
think that's
yeah, I
common.
got there and
Yeah.
then it just died. And I worked really hard to get to 10K, and I'm not doing that. I was posting like twice a day, one in the morning, one in the
Oh.
evening, to get, people in Europe and everything. And I really worked hard to get over the 10 grand. And now I used to post once a day, and now I think I post every 3 or 4 days. So, you know, I was
Mm.
doing every
Mhm.
Monday, I would do a Monday reveal. And I've done this for over a year now, where I put a painting on an easel and I turn it around, and I can't tell you how many people I've
Mhm.
run into that say, I love your reveals, so, and I've sold,
Wow.
from doing that, and
Yeah.
I should
Yeah.
recycle them, but I think every time I've got to show them a new painting, like they know all my work, they don't,
Right.
they don't. I should
Right.
recycle some, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since you've gained the
yeah,
followers. I
I
mean,
know.
I'm sure they haven't seen all
No,
your
they
work.
haven't, but
Yeah. Well, and the algorithms are changing
yes.
constantly. So, like right now, I'm noticing on Instagram that it's showing me more stuff of people that I've never seen before than the actual people I'm
Huh.
following. So, yeah, because I think like they have a spot where you can select that you want to only see the people you're following, but if you're just in there, like in the app regular, they're basically showing you a bunch of new accounts, and they're basically trying to
Good.
get you to follow more and
I
more
like that
accounts.
idea. Maybe mine is getting out there. I know a lot of people just, um, scan it and don't leave comments. And, there's tons of people that look at your work but don't say anything. And that
Right.
happens all the time. And I'll have people tell me they follow me, and I've never heard a peep from them ever. Not a heart, nothing, So
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm,
it's a
Yeah.
difficult thing, this, and you need practically an assistant to help you with everything,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Well, now we have the Art Infused Life site. We have my my Instagram. We added the Femme Powered, and it's like,
Yeah,
what have I gotten you know? But I think if you get a system down where you're just, every morning you get up early and you put something
mm.
in there, uh, it is helpful, but it can
It
be
is. And
tedious
I don't
and
like to write. I'm
overwhelming.
not I create content, but I don't like to write.
Yeah,
People that love to write, I think
yeah,
it's easier for them. But
uh-huh,
Oh,
yeah.
but I'm seeing a lot of content without anything written. I mean,
Yeah,
especially reels. People are not writing
and
very
tons.
much because
And
nobody's
what's
reading.
fun? Yeah,
Nobody's
and they
reading.
Right.
get tons of engagement. I'm like, what's wrong with me?
I know.
Show
I
mine.
know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know how that
Yeah.
works because there's some artists that can
Yeah.
just put a painting up and put it next day a different painting, and their engagement is through the roof. And so
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I learned a couple of things about this. One is that Instagram does sample. So it'll send your post to some subset of your followers. And if they interact with it, then it'll send it to more.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the initial engagement, it will decide if it's going to like send it out or just kind of shelve it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the scheduling of your post is really critical. You really want to schedule when people are actually on the app because you want to maximize the chance that your followers, the first sample set of followers, are actually going to be there and potentially interact with it.
So
So when I heard this, the first thing I did was I went into all my followers, and anything that looked like a potential bot or some kind of, you know, fake follower, I selected something that they can't follow me anymore.
yeah.
Like you can actually remove followers.
But I heard that
The other
Instagram
thing that
doesn't
I
like
was-
that either. They don't like that you take people out. I don't know. I mean, how many men do you get with 9
No, it's
pictures
the
in their post? I'm like, and they're all
Yeah.
admirals and
Oh.
doctors and, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one, but
well, I
because
get
of the
that.
sampling, it's really critical. But they don't like you to follow and unfollow. But you can remove people from following you. I don't know. I mean, I removed 200 something people,
in one,
and
in
that
one
helped.
sitting.
Oh no, over like a day or two.
I was going to say, because if you do it all at once,
Yeah.
they do not like that.
So
I was
what is
fine.
the best time to
Yeah.
post?
But there was something else.
What time do you think is the best time?
I think you have to look. You look in your
Yeah.
look in your professional mode, and you'll see
Yeah.
a graph of when you have the most followers, and that's when you
Yeah.
should post.
I'm bad
Yeah.
at analytics. I told you spreadsheets.
Mm.
Get your
Yeah.
husband to look at it.
Yeah, have him look at
You
your
could do a whole
accounts. But yeah,
spreadsheet
Dawn
on-
is right.
Yeah, you're right.
You can find out where your followers
Yeah.
are. That's how I knew that I had a lot of bots because I had like 30% of my followers were from Nigeria.
Oh.
And nothing against people in Nigeria, but I don't think that there's really people in Nigeria
No.
following me.
Mhm.
First, and second of all, I also heard this said that Instagram loves for people to do reels.
I do it.
But the people who love to watch reels are probably, you know, Gen Y and Gen
Yeah.
Z. And some Gen Xers. Because I am guilty of watching some reels. But
Yeah.
they really love for you to do the reels. And so people do it. But the Gen Y and Z maybe aren't necessarily your art customers. But if you use the tools, then Instagram shows your stuff to more and more and more
Right,
followers.
but now, I mean, and you did too, Don. I saw you mention this, that we got paid to do reels, and now they're not paying anymore. They're like off of reels, and what's the new thing? I forget. They say you should do at least one carousel a week, because the
Yeah.
time spent looking through a whole carousel of 10 paintings or photos or whatever takes longer than looking at one. So the time spent on Instagram is longer. So add one carousel per week minimum. So
Yeah. It's just hard.
it
to
is
keep
really
up with.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I go hot and cold. Like sometimes I'm in it and then I get a little bit of feedback and I'm like, oh, okay, I can post again. This is easy. And then there's other times where I'm just like in a different mode. Like I'm just working at my day job a lot. And so I can't really post because I'm just not in
Right.
that flow. So I dip my toes in the water and then I get back up on the shore a little too far away from the water for a while. So
Yeah.
I'm lacking consistency for sure.
It is hard.
Yeah,
and
I
and
was
Instagram loves consistency. So,
I know.
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I need to do,
I mean, it's hard because my following is like my biggest time is like one 2, 3, or something like that.
Oh.
And I'm at work.
And
I don't get it.
Schedule
but
your
I don't
posts.
think if you schedule them, they
Yeah.
get the same engagement. And I don't know how Instagram knows that, but and do you put that if you post on Instagram, it goes to Facebook? Because I get so little
Sometimes.
engagement when I do that than when I
Yep.
post
I
know.
directly to Facebook,
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's
Yeah.
tough. I just want to
Very
paint.
cool.
I don't want to post.
I know.
Yeah.
I want a virtual
I do too.
assistant.
I do
That's
too.
what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
Just do
good.
that.
Sometimes people do. Oh, Carol, you were telling me you do like a timeshare of of some sort of
I
assistant.
have an intern, and she is fabulous, but she'll graduate in the next year. But I get her while she's in school, and when her internships come up, she's worked twice for Apple. I mean, she's all over the country, and so I can't get her to be a 40-hour intern because I'm not Apple, but I only get 4
Right.
hours a week from her, and she can do more than 4 hours. She's just so bright and so willing, and just, if she doesn't know it, she figures it out, and she's just fabulous. Now, I do have another virtual assistant, and I haven't, it's hard for me to think up projects for virtual assistants because if I have to write it all out, I might as well just do it, So somebody's got to teach me how to use a virtual assistant properly because
I mean, they have virtual assistants that just manage your social media. I don't know how they do it, but they
I've
do.
heard of that too, where you give them examples and then they create it and send it to you. And if I got to figure it out for them, I might as well just do it.
Yeah.
So that's difficult.
Yeah. I get that.
So
Yeah. Well, Carol, what is your website for people to find
my
you?
name's kind of tricky. That's why I'll go with Instagram first. It's Carol Paints _. But my website is my name, Carol MacConnell, and it's hard to spell because there's all those consonants in there. And I'm a Mac, not a Mick, MAC, and everybody forgets the A. So carolmcconnell.com. And also, we all have free prints. I have a free print. If you go to my website and click on the free print, I can send out free prints. So, yeah.
And I have
Oh,
one.
thank
It's
you.
beautiful.
Yeah,
love
I
it.
forgot. Yes. So, and on Facebook, I'm Carol MacConnell once again. I probably should change that. I took a course on Instagram. Me and courses. I'm always learning. And it said that your Instagram handle should be what you do. And my name is really hard to spell. So I thought, I need to get rid of my last name. So I went to Carol Contemporary Art. And then I watched somebody try to spell contemporary on their phone. I thought, that's not it. You can change your name as much as you want and you don't lose anything. So I wanted Carol Paints Carol Paints, but somebody has it and they've never posted, but they have the handle and I don't know who it is. So I would buy it from them for a small amount. I mean, you're not using it.
Right.
So I went with Carol
Right.
Paints _ So
Nice.
Maybe you could put an exclamation point instead of the underscore at the end because you really have 4 lines of
you're right.
paintings.
I might change it again, except for when you do change it, if you have any
or paints for you.
Yeah, paints for you. If you have any QR codes, they change. So anything with a QR code, if you change your handle, it's now wrong. It doesn't send them to Instagram anymore. So yeah, all these little tricks you got to learn.
Yes. Yeah. I've learned so much from you today,
thank
though.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
me
wrote
too.
some
I think
notes.
you might really want to consider that some version of some sort of artist mentor coaching. You know, I could see you hosting art critiques or something. You know, there's so many quote unquote self-taught, you know, let's say non-traditional artists who've taken online classes and, you know, taught themselves a lot of things. And the one thing that's really missing from that compared to an academic art degree is really the, you know, the feedback, the interaction with other artists, and also the art critiques.
That's a great idea. I forgot about critiques. That might be an avenue I might explore, because maybe once a month, anybody that signs in to my subscription or whatever it is, they bring their painting.
Yeah.
And yeah, that could work. You're so smart.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
I would
have
totally
a
sign up
ton
for
of
that, Carol.
experience. Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies. I loved being here. And I can't wait. I know we're
Yeah,
going to
thank
meet
you
up
for
soon,
coming.
and that's going to be so fun. So
I
know.
I
It's
can't
coming
wait.
up.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Oh,
it is.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank
talking
you.
to you.
Thank you. And I'll see you on the web somewhere.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.